Today, we are going to be looking at Clearpool and Mountain Cavern, which is a domain of blessing. I've already made a video on this. I detailed in that video that this is 100% possible as a free-to-play player. So there is a couple of different strategies that you can use for this domain that will make it a lot simpler. I wanted this video to specifically exclude 5 stars at all costs. So I did not use Venti for any reason. I tried multiple runs with Animo MC because multiple people kept saying the strategy where you cluster all of the Abyss Mages up against the wall and then, you know, do your ult and elemental skill to swirl the shields together to destroy them. That is a very valid concept in practice. It was very, very, very difficult to make it happen. I got like 1 or 2 successful runs where I was able to break all of the shields, but the biggest downfall in this domain is not the Abyss Mages, in my opinion. The Abyss Mages are fine. You can pick them off pretty simply. It's that stupid fireball that follows you around and just blows up in your face. I even tried to craft a pyro resistance potion just to take less damage, and I still died. But enough complaining, let's take a look at what we're working with here. So we're going to be taking a look at the wiki. This particular domain isn't as fleshed out as some of the other ones. This one only has 3 levels. They all have the same leyline disorder, which is a buff to geo characters by buffing the damage dealt by geo damage by 75%. So if you have geo characters built, if you have Ning, Noel, Zhongli, if you even have him, that kind of stuff is going to work perfectly fine. Like I said, tried multiple iterations of different team situations. I ended up getting successful runs when I switched to my Geo MC. That was the only thing that I could figure out to save me. Everybody's got the Geo version of the MC by the time they get to this freaking domain, so it's kind of like the cheat sheet for this one. So, what should we be expecting? Probably the entire reason that you're farming this is to get Noblesse, but don't sleep on the Bloodstained because increasing physical damage can be really, really promising on certain characters. The official that you'll see me using for this domain is built with a 2-piece Glad, 2-piece Bloodstained. So I farmed this domain a ton, which is the reason that I made the original video because of how frustrating it had been, and I've found out that sweet spot where you don't actually have to engage with the Hydro Abyss Mage. It just made things so much simpler. So the entire reason that you're farming this is to probably get these pieces, and I will make a couple of assumptions like I did in previous videos where I'm assuming that at least by AR40 you have your main DPS set up. You have the character that is going to be on the field doing the most damage at least leveled up to 80. I'm not saying that you have all 4 of your characters on your team at level 80. I'm just saying 1 character at level 80. Now at the AR45, I would assume that you have at least 2 characters to level 80. But you'll notice that in this video, I didn't actually use but my official, which is level 80. And then I used Amber, Kaya, and GeoMC to clear at level 90. And all 3 of those were at level 60. They had decent artifacts on them, I'm not gonna lie. I had to buff up with artifacts to at least make a completion, but they're all level 60. So at 2 level 80s on your team, you should be in a fairly similar situation, at least with just decent artifacts. You don't have to have god rolls with perfect 50% crit rate, 100% crit dip. You don't have to have all that stuff. If you are following along in the series, we actually just did Domain of Guyon, which gives you geo artifacts, so it kind of ties into this. I'm glad you guys actually picked this in the poll. With all of that being said, that's pretty much the only assumptions that I'm going to make. As usual, we're going to take a look at each level independently and kind of talk about each thing. This one is a little bit more clean cut than the Domain of Guyon because everything kind of revolves around just 3 sets of Abyss Mages. At level 1 though, let's get into talking about this one. Now we are going to look at some footage for this particular level, but first let's kind of talk a little bit about the Abyss Mages. So Abyss Mages in general are pretty annoying to deal with because they do have an elemental shield around them that you do need to break before you can actually deal any damage to the actual mage. Now, being that we have specifically 1 cryo and 2 pyro here, the strategy that you use is going to kind of depend on your particular team setup. Essentially, what we're going to try to focus on, in my opinion, the easiest way to do this is to take out this cryo Abyss Mage first. Because Amber is going to be able to deal pyro damage with her charge shots, you can easily take down this shield relatively quickly, and then you can just kind of focus on the 2 pyro abyss mages by abusing Kaya to melt the shields slowly but effectively at least. Now, since we are dealing with 2 Pyro Abyss Mages, one thing we could consider in terms of preparation, you could end up crafting one of the potions that help you resist fire damage. The Heat Shield Potion would actually help you resist 25% extra Pyro based attacks, and I mean, the Abyss Mages are going to be doing a ton of that anyway, so this may actually help you out quite a bit if you are having any kind of issues with your tankiness. Plus, one of the coolest things to do is most accounts would have at least Barbara as a healer if you've gotten up to the point of being able to do these domains. So having Barbara as a healer is super effective in these domains. I learned a long time ago that at least at the level 91, the Cryo Abyss Mage causes so many issues. But I think if you play around that, you should be fine to use Amber and break the Cryo Abyss Mage's shield really fast, slowly whittle him down, and then if you have Barbara, just literally throw her in the team and you can easily vaporize the shields on the Pyro Abyss Mages, and you literally won't have much of a problem at all here. The only requirement is that we do have to defeat all 3 opponents within 300 seconds or 5 minutes. So let's take a look at what we did here. So here's what we're going to use. We're going to have a Kaya at level 60, an Amber at level 50, and Animo MC at level 60 as well. Now, Kaya and Animo MC are at least ascended, but of course Amber is just at level 50. She's not been ascended. She is capped at 50 right now. So a quick thing that you can do is if you run back towards the door, you can actually manipulate a couple of things in your favor. So you'll notice that the Cryo Abyss Mage is trying to attack me here, but the Pyro Abyss Mages are kind of hanging back. Now, I didn't explore this like super in depth. I don't know if you can completely just negate both Pyro Abyss Mages, but you can at least get it to where you don't have to worry about all 3 of them at once. You can just worry about 2 of them. So all we're doing here is using Amber to break the Cryo Shield, and then we're going to slowly try to whittle him down. I actually am not too worried about whenever he regenerates his shield. It's at least safer, even if it takes longer, it's at least safer to attack him from a distance with Amber, because at least I can break his shield relatively fast with this team comp. And then you'll see the other Abyss Mage comes to join us here. So at this point, I'm trying to use Kaya, which would be my main carry in this situation. I'm just trying to use him to deal as much damage as possible. I did cook plenty of food. Food is always going to be important in these situations, especially if you feel like you are under leveled. If you just don't have enough raw damage, you could cook attack food, you could cook defense food for extra bulk. I usually just cook a bunch of HP food personally. I typically don't mess with a lot of attack foods or anything like that, but that's just my playstyle. It's just how I've gotten used to playing the game. So anyways, there you can see we slowly whittled down the Cryo Abyss Mage. Now we just got to use Kaya, and we're going to try to use the Animo MC to swirl and melt down these shields as best as possible. Now, one thing that's really annoying about the Abyss Mages, whenever they disappear, they will hurt you. Whenever they reappear, they will hurt you. So be wary, like you have to get up close to them sometimes to attack with like Kaya in my situation. Just kind of keep that in mind. If you have a ranged character that can do some kind of reaction against the shield, if you have Fischl, she still actually works really well here. Simply because she can do overload as she's hitting the shields and stuff, and that will help do extra damage to the shields. But I tried to stay away from using her as she's kind of been featured a lot. But anyways, there we finally go. Break down that shield, and now we're just going to try to kill this guy. Now, one of the things that I talked about in a couple of different videos so far with Abyss Mages is trying to keep them staggered is super important. You'll notice that I don't know if it's literally just the level of my Animo MC, but I had a lot of issues throughout the day trying to stagger the Abyss Mage, which made it super, super annoying. But the main goal is to use the elemental skill on your MC or to use charge attacks or whatever you got to do. Here I'm actually switching over my food so that I don't die. All right. Now that I've got my food ready, I want to be able to quickly heal if I need it before these guys actually end up killing me. So slowly whittling this guy down and finally get the kill there. So just one Abyss Mage left. We have 140 on the clock. Just trying to get some energy regen here. That way we can do some damage with our ult soon. And use Animo MC. Try to get that swirl. Swirl does really, really well up against a lot of these shields. And get some damage off there. I feel like that was decent. That could have been a little bit cleaner, but now we're just trying to use Kaya to clean up here. Trying to keep this guy staggered so that he doesn't do the... he has like a volcano attack that's super annoying. If you don't stagger him, he'll just go into that, and then it's just... you can't get close to him at that point, so pretty annoying, but slowly whittling this guy down. And here I kind of got myself stuck. I couldn't hit him, which was kind of dumb, but now just got to use Kaya here, try to finish this guy up. And you can see, running close with the volcano attacks there, and Kaya cleans it up. So the biggest deal with this one is you can do the trick where you start in the center and you run back towards the door that you came in from, and you could manipulate the Abyss Mages like that. Now for level 2, it is essentially the exact same thing, except they have flipped the Abyss Mages, so we have 2 of the Cryo and 1 of the Pyro. But there is actually a new element into this. The Pyro Abyss Mage is empowered and will periodically spawn a fireball that explodes 3 times once it reaches the player, dealing pyro damage. During these explosions, it remains stationary but will shift towards the player again for 2 more cycles. This is what I was saying is the actual difficulty in this domain, for me at least. I can deal with these Abyss Mages relatively easy on their own, but this thing sucks. I have to constantly be moving. It's faster than you, so it's not like you can outrun it. It's way faster than you. It usually at least gets 1 hit before you have to dash away from it, but then you're dashing, so you end up running out of stamina, and it just chases you down and literally will slowly whittle you down on top of the Abyss Mages attacking you and stuff like that. But same rules basically apply here. The only thing that would maybe be different is since we are dealing with 2 Cryo Mages, you could end up going with the Frost Shield Potion just to kind of give yourself some more resistance there. And also don't forget, I mean, any of the essential oils, if your team is based around a specific element, then essential oils would also help you do extra damage in that. What would be really cool is doing unmoving essential oil to get extra geo damage on top of the geo damage that the domain already gives you. That's just a thought though. Okay, so the only difference now is that we are going to be running with my main DPS, which is Fischl. Like I said, at this level, at the AR 40-ish level, you should have at least your main DPS set up. You don't have to have a whole lot of extra stuff set up. Amber Kaya and my Anemo MC are all running the exact same stuff they were at the previous level. Fischl is the only one that is really fully built. Now you'll notice I did start on their side of the field and ran back towards the door that we entered from. That actually allows you to manipulate the Pyro Abyss Mage from not targeting you, and only the 2 Cryo Abyss Mages will come towards you. So you can kind of use that to your advantage, get them away from the Pyro Mage so that you don't draw aggro and they don't try to chase you down. Now you will see the fireball that's chasing us around right there. We do have to also worry about that this go around, but essentially right here we are just trying to get through these 2 Cryo Mages at the same time, and then we can just focus on the Pyro Mage by itself. Now you see that fireball constantly chases you down. It does have like a small cooldown, but yeah, it's pretty annoying. So again, same concept here is I'm not actually too worried about fighting them at range, even though I do chase them down for some stupid reason. Because Amber can quickly focus their shields down pretty quickly, I don't really worry too much about them regenning their shields. So Fischl's going to help me clean up here, and as soon as that's done, we're going to go target this Pyro Abyss Mage. Now Kaya, again, is my main plan here, just trying to do as much melt damage against that shield as possible, trying to keep a little bit more distance this time around so that I don't end up losing a ton of health whenever he disappears and reappears. Lose Amber there, but she's not super important in the second half, so I don't actually worry too much about even reviving her. I might at some point, but so yep, dash away so that we don't take a whole lot of damage there, dash away from that fireball, dash away from the fireball again, and then we can try to clean up with Fischl here. We're running low on health, muscle memory's kicking in. I keep trying to switch to my second slot character, which Amber's dead, so I end up seeing that menu a lot. But so we're fighting from a distance, trying to stay away from everything, but that fireball is constantly chasing us down. But we can clean up with our main DPS and we should be good. Okay, so this go around for the level 3. This one is a little bit different, building on what the second level had. We have one of each mage, but it does include a new mage as a Hydro Abyss mage. So it includes that, but it does give us a full 360 seconds to complete it. So you get 6 full minutes, which for what that's worth, that's fine. But it does still have the fireball that follows you around, which is super freaking annoying. And at this point, I mean, the potions aren't really going to do a whole lot for us because there's 3 different things kind of like attacking us with all different elements. It kind of gets a little annoying, but if you do feel like you need resistance against one of those, if your strategy is to do something similar to mine where you leave the Hydro Abyss mage last, you could end up, you know, crafting that. If you feel like that's your worst matchup, you could craft either the cryo or the pyro if you needed it. But also, you know, just keep in mind that food is going to be pretty important if you end up falling short on your DPS. So I still wanted to try and keep the free-to-play characters in mind. All I did was have my main DPS as Fischl. I changed Animo MC to Geo MC, and I gave Kaya. Kaya would technically be like my second DPS, the one that I would recommend you at least have to a, you know, respectable level. That's the only thing that I really changed as far as the team goes. I did switch the artifacts on the main characters so that they do focus more on a Geo set, but other than that, Amber's the exact same, and Kaya just has like a slightly better sword, stuff like that. But that's pretty much it. So the main shtick here is that if you start by dashing to the Pyro Mage, if you kind of take a wide stance going over there, you will actually manipulate it to where the Hydra Mage will not do anything. It'll just sit over there and wait on you. So that can actually be super helpful. And all we're going to do here is whittle down this shield so that we can get rid of it. And then we can clean up the cryo, which arguably the cryo would probably be a little bit easier, simply because Amber will provide a lot of extra utility against the shield there. But I just so happened that in this run, I just went for the pyro, and I was so done with this domain when this finished. I was like, I'm not going to run this back. So here's what we ended up doing. Finally get this. Now, I kind of hate this corner. This corner can be so helpful because if things start to come over here, the rocks and the geometry of this section can be a little bit nice in your favor sometimes, but sometimes it just sucks. You'll notice I got completely stuck right there with Fischl. I couldn't even shoot the guy because of the little rock that was right in the way. I just want this guy to die. He has like 0 health. Finally, he dies. And after that, it's pretty much just break this guy's shield and we should be good. So we're going to try to use Geo MC. Now, I was expecting this to work a little bit better. I thought once I got up here, I was like, cool, I don't even care if he, you know, goes into his animation because I can break it with Amber, but it actually hits you through that Geo structure. That's so dumb. I got to say, that's stupid. It should not do that, but nonetheless, just kind of be on the lookout that that is not a strategy that you can use, but we're just going to clean up here with Amber. Let us break the shield. Yeah. So if Amber dies, you are kind of in a sticky situation. Luckily, Geo MC does pull quite a bit of damage, so it can help. Fischl works pretty well for me personally, just because she's my main DPS. I can do Superconduct against the shield there, which is nice. But as you can see, the only reason I really did that was because Geo MC had some really nice damage. And it's all because of the Geo boost that the domain has itself. So now we got to go take out this Hydro Mage. So my main goal here is literally just to try to freeze it and set up to use Kaya as much as possible. Unluckily, he disappears as soon as I got set up with Kaya's ult. So now, yep, we're just going to try to slowly break this guy's shield and try not to die. Look at Fischl hanging on with 113 HP. So insane. And my muscle memory, and then I like dragged the window out of the way while I'm recording, and I was like, what am I doing? So I had to stop and pull it all back. But I was so close to finishing this. I was not giving up. I was like, I'm gonna finish this, and that was a terribly aimed situation there, but I was not giving up. slowly whittle this guy down as well. And after you whittle him down, you pretty much just win. And there you go. All right, same concept. We're just gonna go in, break the pyro as quickly as possible. And we'll just try to work on the cryo shortly after. Try to stay as far away from the hydro as possible so that we don't end up pulling aggro there. Okay. Why? Why? Bruh, come on. All right, yeah, that's 228. I'm so done with this domain for today. I have ran this domain like 20 times today, and I hate it. I still hate it. I have Venti, and I still hate this domain. It's cancer. And honestly, like I said, it's not the freaking Abyss Mages. It's that stupid fireball that follows you around and just completely messes with you the entire time, dude. I hate it. So when it comes to picking a team for this domain, honestly, it really is going to come down to what your best DPS checks are, what characters you have that can output the most damage and stuff like that once you break through those shields. Breaking through the shields is kind of like your first step, but then after that, you do need to have enough DPS afterwards as well. So any team synergy that you already have built up to take out, you know, just random stuff is going to do okay. I do want to point out, because of the Leyline Disorder, Geo characters have a huge advantage in this particular domain, and I also think that the Animo characters have a really strong placehold as well. I don't think that there's a bad Animo character that you could bring in. They're just kind of ones that are better than others. I definitely would say that Venti is obviously top choice if you have him. Sucrose is probably going to be better than Animo MC, but just slightly, because it really just depends on how you have them built. And then Jean also works really well, but she's probably the least preferred. Barbara makes this domain really, really rough. The fact that she can get you frozen constantly is really, really annoying. Other than that, that's really like the only things that you really have to go into this domain with. Obviously, you would want to have your best foot forward and bring in the highest damaging team that you've got. And I think that's what makes this domain so difficult sometimes, is because the team that you have may not be something that can deal with 3 different elements at the same time before you're actually able to do any kind of damage. But some team comps deal with it pretty easily, especially if you throw in Geo into the mix. And then because Geo has the high buff off of the Leyline Disorder and things like that, it makes this a lot easier. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out, for watching this video. I really do appreciate you guys. I will post another poll once this goes live. Since this artifact domain was chosen, we'll throw in another artifact domain after this. I don't know exactly what I'm going to put into the polls yet, but we will see. Hopefully you guys will let me know through the polls what you want to see. But until then, see you later. Major shout out to Cherry Blue, who is a YouTube member.